What's up, everyone? I'm Logan with 89 AutoWorks, and today we are bringing you something different, even more. Again, all the days we are doing different. So today we are working on doing a detailing video. This is a 2020 Crosstrek in here. Guys got some sick stuff done to it. We had to fix a few things for them, and we're going to go ahead and do a paint correction and graphene coating on this thing. So we are going to get cranking. Yesterday I went ahead before I had on camera and I cleaned this thing outside. I just did a hand wash, decontamination. I have not started doing any real decontamination yet, so we're going to do that all on camera today. So if you guys are ready for a detailing video, buckle up because she's about to get a little rowdy. Alright guys, so I kind of am doing a little quick once around on this thing. This is how I kind of like to start. Once I get them clean, get the paint naked, I like to walk around and kind of get an idea on the worst spots of the car. When I start on these things, I always, and when I say always, I mean always, take in, basically I work on walking by these cars and finding every little imperfection that I could possibly find to be able to hopefully take and get all the big stuff picked out beforehand so that I can physically know where I need to spend my time from the very first step, because if there's parts of the car that need to get cut more than others, I need to know that so I can make sure that those parts are perfectly decontaminated, and you're going to want to do that regardless, but there is some damage here and there on this car. The whole story on this thing: the guy had bought the lift kit, the wheels, the tires, the rock sliders, the bumper, the bars, and the rack in the back. And he had bought this thing, or all this stuff, this package. He bought it for another Crosstrek, and the Crosstrek ended up selling before he got down there to buy it. He kind of got screwed, so he ended up buying this thing. And it's a really nice car, low miles, all of that. But I will say the thing that sucks is the car was wrecked before he got it. So paint looks okay. It was this passenger side of the vehicle. Paint looks okay. I can see some body panels aren't fully lined up properly, stuff like that. But I'm gonna go ahead and start working on this thing, show you guys some of the big damage we got to fix here, and then hopefully keep going. Alright, so if you guys look closely, you guys can kind of see the hazy paint. Nothing crazy, but there is definitely some paint on this thing that's going to need to get addressed. Some problems. We got scratches in this region. The scratches in here. Somebody must have at some point tried to do a correction on this car. When you get up into here, we'll see if you guys can see it in the light on here. But you can physically see in this area. Now let me see if I take my phone. You can see how that starts to look sanded, and it looks just like somebody started trying to correct on this thing. Probably actually with like 1000 grit sandpaper. What I have learned is that it looks like somebody started trying to correct this paint, didn't really know what they were doing. There's definitely some damage on the paint. So these are all things that, I just wanted to kind of get them out there before I do anything on this car. Definitely looks like somebody has done some correcting on the paint and door jambs and stuff. There's a compound I'm seeing. So whoever he bought it from probably tried to do a quick cut and buff, single stage type deal. We're gonna get going on it. So we're gonna start with clay bar. We're gonna go ahead and I'll show you guys the tactic I'm gonna use. Guys, so first things first, For those of you that don't know what clay barring is going to go through and it's actually going to peel off any of the contaminants that didn't come off when you're washing the car. If that's road grime, if that's dust, if that's dirt, if that's metal, if that's whatever. Your brakes put off a lot of iron that gets trapped in the clear coat. So if you aren't decontaminating your car with a clay bar, you're probably going to do more damage to your paint than you're going to do good if you're trying to do a paint correction. So first steps first, we are going to go through in all of the hard to reach areas and use just a regular old decontamination clay bar. This is a true legit clay bar. And then once we get all those areas complete that I can't get to with the polishing pad, this is a synthetic clay polishing pad. Put this on the polisher, and basically both of these, you're using any spray detailer. You're going to keep the surface nice and moist, keep it lubricated, and go back and forth. If you're using a clay bar, there is a technique to doing it. If you're using this, there's absolutely a technique to doing it. So both of these we are going to try today. We're going to do a light decontamination on this thing. It doesn't have much in the actual paint itself. Back to the, it looks like it had been detailed at one point. So we're going to go over with the decontamination clay bar and then also the polishing pad. That is the MagnaShine nanotechnology professional paint correction pad. So basically you're going to get yourself your piece folded however you like to have it. I like to have it kind of long and skinny like this, so that I have a slightly broader, I guess, decontamination area. So when you do this, basically, I don't run it this way. Like if this was the edge, I would be running it this way so that it's picking up the aggressive stuff in the front, and then it's picking up in the back finer stuff that it didn't pick up before. Just a regular speed wax that I buy from the detailing shop. And I will come and just basically come down here and soak up the panels, and I'm only going to be doing this bottom area on the doors, and then up and around the mirrors where I can't get the tool in, and then on the mirrors themselves. So nothing crazy here. Get yourself a little moisture on there, and you're literally just going back and forth and decontaminating. It's not anything that's rocket science. This side feels really clean already. So you can start to see a little bit of the black stuff starting to build up on there, which is what you're pulling off of the paint itself, which is cool. All right, peeps. So we got this sucker on the old buffer here, and it's important to note that this is a dual action DA polisher. We're going to be using this. It's on here, lowest speed setting, and you're going to use it. Basically, we'll do half the hood. We'll take it off. We'll soak this down, wipe it off with a clean microfiber, soak it down again. The biggest thing here is just not letting this thing run dry, because it will ruin your paint so fast. So we'll soak everything down up here, get it nice and doing it. Get this thing nice and doing it. I have it on literally the lowest setting, which is 3,000 RPM. Pretty hazy. You guys might be able to see the reflection of the light here, but the best way to be able to tell how, you know, flat the clear coat is, because at the end of the day when you're cutting clear coat, that's what you're doing, is you're making it even, to make it even flat, and that's the thickness of it. You want the thickness to be consistently flat. The flatter and evener the clear coat, the less orange peel you're going to have, which translates to, after a polish, a far more consistent and deep shine. You are going to physically see into the base coat versus seeing into the top of the base coat, which is where the clear coat would be orange peeled. It's decontaminated, but boy oh boy is it bad. It is actually bad, and you know, the owner of this car, that's what he said too. So yeah, it's pretty rough. So we're gonna go ahead and finish up the hood, and I'm gonna actually just go ahead and do the rest of the car quick, and then we'll jump on to the next step here, which will be starting to work on cutting this paint. Well, actually I lied to you. Starting to work on what we have to do to work on cutting this paint. Okay guys, so this is debatably one of the most important steps you can do. any amount of time you spend doing this will save you 3-4 times fold in the end to achieve a good result. So we go ahead and take, this is just masking tape, painter's tape, whatever. This is the ultra delicate stuff. Not necessarily needed, the ultra delicate stuff, but it works really good. So we'll just go ahead and tape off all the trim. Taped. Okay, so this is a microfiber cutting pad. I always prep them before I put compound on them. Just give them a quick spritz of speed wax. Now on this one, I had really good luck on the last time I used this stuff. It's called Perfect Compound. Basically cutting, and then as it starts to go away, you lift up on pressure, which I don't ever apply pressure anyways. Lift up on pressure and it'll start to polish. Makes it, hopefully takes it down to 1-step correction on this one. We'll see. But basically we're going to go ahead and just try this stuff on this side and just see how this stuff looks after one pass. First time I use this, first time of the day, I kind of apply it fairly heavy just to get it into the pores of the pad itself. And then we always just start out very, very slow just to make sure that everything is jiving properly. So on a big panel like the hood like this, you're going to want to split it up into quarters. They say 2x2 square is what's recommended. So you're going to want to do this in a grid pattern, working your way up, down, up, down. I try to give myself 50% overlap on these so that you are ensuring that you are getting all of the compound spread evenly. So now you guys can see on the windshield here why I tape all this stuff off. Compounds like to spray all over the place. I went pretty slow. I didn't want to do anything that was going to be too aggressive. Subarus do inherently have soft paint, so we're starting to get to a point where this looks fairly uniform. I am going to go ahead and do another pass, speed it up a bit, and just kind of see what that does for us. So you can see how it starts to get pretty hazy, but the nice thing is that this is doing a pretty killer job at flattening the paint. So that's always nice to have something that works in a more or less one step, not a several compound setup. This is just one setup that does pretty good. Alright, here you go guys. Here's one little test spot that we did polished. And you can see we transition into the area that's just cut. You can see that very clear line right there. So then if we back up even more, you can see the difference between now and before. This very, very clear line of now and before. Alright guys, it is late on Friday night. I got my ass kicked today. I had a couple pads that I don't know what the deal was with them. They were just shaking super bad and then exploded all over the place. So car is looking good. At this point I have everything cut and just kind of waiting on polishing everything. I have half the roof polished right now. I'll give you guys a quick look at that. Definitely looks pretty good, especially when you consider, you guys can see how terrible this looks on this side. I guess the skinny here is I am going to go home. I'm tired. So I'll come back out tomorrow and we'll get some stuff cranking on this thing. Hopefully get to a point that we can get this thing graphene coated tomorrow and get this thing done, and I'll get paid. So see you guys in the morning. So we're polishing this thing up today. Basically everything's cut right now, polishing it. I'm gonna just zip through this step of the first pass of polishing, and then we'll go through and talk about the next step you would do if you were going to be ceramic or graphene coating. Guys, so we're gonna just talk briefly here about what I use to do polishing. So in this case, because we've cut the car so much, we are going to go ahead and do a 2-stage polish. I usually go through and use Mystic polish. This is our kind of go-to around here. We've had some other stuff from the detailing shop, but this stuff works really good and I like it a lot. So we're gonna go through, do more or less one pass on the car with this, and then after this we'll actually be using a ceramic primer, and it is a ceramic polish that has ceramic coating in it, and then we actually graphene coat over the top of that. If you guys are interested in seeing the ceramic coating process of this video, you'll have to stick around to the end, and there we will do a full exactly how you would be doing this process, exactly the steps you need to take to make sure you're having a clean application and, you know, going through and doing all that. So for now, we're gonna go ahead and pop some Mystic polish down on here and see if we can make a mess. All right, guys, so per usual, I did the Logan thing and I went ahead and was not loving the results, so I decided to go back and I recut the whole car, changed up what I was using, changed up what I was cutting with, changed up the pad I was using. I ended up going with a hard correction pad. So anyways, I ended up going with a hard correction pad, which is already pretty well wrecked. So yeah, but I was using this guy, definitely. Well, here, I'll show you guys. So I have not even polished this yet, and this looks as good as it did polish before. So anyways, I guess that's where we're at. I have 2 more panels to cut, and then we're on to polishing. So hoping to get this thing polished up tonight so I can first thing in the morning get it graphene coated, let it cure, and give it back to the guy. So I'm gonna keep cranking here. It's Monday morning. I had one hell of a weekend trying to get this car detailed. The Crosstrek is just absolutely kicking my ass. Not really me per se, but the actual polisher, my brand new, I just got this MT300 Meguiar's polisher back from warranty from Meguiar's, and I mean it's just broken. It's just creating all sorts of heat, so it's causing me to have to stop and wait for the thing to cool down all the time, and it's just really killing time here. So I'm gonna try to finish this thing up today, hoping like hell that I can get this thing looking good. The couple panels I have polished and are just, you know, polished right now are looking very good. I'm just trying to just keep pushing on here. All right, guys, so if you stuck around this far, you've made it to the point where we're gonna start working on doing ceramic coating on this car, like an actual real true ceramic coating on this car, followed by a graphene coating. Let's just recap here where we're at. So I cut this car a few times now, looking pretty good to a point where it's gonna have to just be what it is. Like I said, this car was repainted, or a lot of the body panels were repainted due to it being in an accident. So there is some paint that's, I guess for a lack of better words, a little bit suspect. I don't want to get to a point where the clear coat is so thin that, you know, the smallest little scratches go through the clear coat into the paint. So we're going to stop where we're at and make sure we have a good sufficient layer of clear coat still left on the car. So for recapping, when we took and when we cut the paint, we used the Griot's Garage, their orange correcting pad. We used that with CCS Pure Cut, and then from there we went to the Griot's Garage microfiber pad, and that's a finishing pad, and then we used Mystic polish for that. And now we are at the next step, which is going to be taking this refresh. Yeah, it's empty, I have it in a spray bottle, but this is surface preparation spray, glorified Windex, but this is what the manufacturer wants you using to prep the surface for ceramic coating of any sort. So this is what we will be using. More or less, we will be spraying on, lightly misting, taking the cleanest microfiber possible and getting that clean. And then the next step will be taking the CCS caliber, which is a silica primer. It is what you would start with before you do your graphene coating. This is in itself a ceramic coating, but we will be taking this and putting this on and then applying graphene over the top of it. We will start with a brand new super fine pad to be able to polish this stuff in and make it look really good and remove out the rest of those small tiny little scratches that we had talked about earlier. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to grab all this stuff, get it out of here, get the surfaces cleaned up. I go panel by panel, so every panel I'm doing, and then I clean that panel, just so you don't, get some sort of contamination in between. One of the big things that I'm like fairly confident of now that I've cut this car and got a really good look at it, somebody had detailed this car before me. So he had bought it from a used car dealership that had fixed the paint and did all that stuff. And my suspicion is that somebody tried to do a, I guess, cheap, poor quality paint correction on this thing, and then didn't do a good surface preparation and then put ceramic coating of some sort on it, because what you could see throughout the whole paint job on the car was really, it looked like water spotting, but it was subsurface, meaning under the ceramic coating. So basically it just gave the clear coat a really foggy look, and it's crazy because this car looks so much different now that it's been cut and polished. I mean, it looks so much more blue, whereas when I first got this car, it was certainly like a dark or like a light gray color. So it's really crazy to see, just clearing up the clear coat, how much that reveals the color of the actual base coat itself. So from here, we'll start cleaning these surfaces up, and then I'll show you guys how we go about polishing in the caliber. So I'm gonna jump to that. We got the refresh here, and we are gonna just go ahead and work on cleaning this surface up. There is a tactic that they want you using for this, and basically we will do some light misting. You're not trying to soak anything by any means. You're just taking the oils and everything off the paint itself. So we will go ahead and give this thing the good wipe down. I'm sure you guys can't see it on camera, but it's just wild being under LED lights how much it changes the appearance of the paint. I'm actually gonna give that one more little spray. I can't stress how important this step is, because it's the most overlooked step, and it absolutely is what yields the finish. This is where the finish comes from, and how well the finish actually shows. This is where it comes from. This is the opportune time for me to tell you, get your gloves on, because everything you do from this point forward is subject to contamination. So if you touch this with your bare hands and your hands have any amount of oil or anything on them, then you're going to get that embedded in the ceramic coating, and it's going to make you hate your life. The caliber, I don't prep these pads like I normally would be with spray wax when I'm doing it with ceramic coating. So yeah, basically we're just applying a small amount like normal, getting it prepped into your pad, and then getting it going on the paint, keeping it going at a slow, nice, easy motion, and just working it into the paint nice and medium speed, nothing too crazy. Okay, with a clean microfiber again, not the same one you were just using. Go ahead and wipe off. Alright guys, so the only other thing I never talked about was cleaning your pad. And I cannot stress the importance of cleaning your pad, why this is important. So if this thing starts building up with, it doesn't matter what step you're on here, if that's polishing, if that's cutting, if that's applying a ceramic primer, it does not matter any step here. This thing, if you plug this thing up, you plug the pad itself up, it is no longer going to perform like it's supposed to. Every time I finish a panel, I take and go through and physically tape and blow off. And normally I would be doing this over a trash can so it doesn't make a mess everywhere. And just cleaning the pad off, because this is the most critical step to achieving a consistent finish. You don't want it to have one panel look really good, the next panel looks kind of shoddy, and then you get around the car and just progressively gets worse or whatever. This is best to do if you have more than one pad, and the big thing with that is letting the pad cool down. You actually overheat these pads, it can do goofy stuff with the polishing factor. The only thing I will say is if you're using shop air to do this, make sure that you have an air dryer in line. You don't want to blow oily air compressor water all over your nice pad for doing ceramic coating. So I have a super high grade air separator that is Snap-on makes it, and it is actually for paint guns for painting cars. I use it for running my plasma table was the reason I originally bought it, but it keeps everything free of oil and water and all that stuff so that your air tools don't get screwed up and everything else. And then when I'm doing this, I have clean air shot onto this. I thought I'd take a second to show you what she's looking like with the first coat of ceramic on here with the ceramic prep. And obviously everything needs to be cleaned up still, but I would say she looks pretty freaking killer. Let me grab a light here so you guys can get a better idea. Alright guys, so here's where we're at. Right now, car is ceramic prepped. Everything is, we polished in our caliber ceramic prep glaze. And now we're gonna move on to physically getting ready to actually start talking about our graphene coating. Before we do that, the important step that I feel like gets passed on a lot is you gotta realize this graphene coating needs time to cure no matter what the circumstances are, it needs time to cure. So any of these areas that you would wanna be cleaning that have, maybe some polish on them or whatever, like this cowl area where you can see there's some dried polish, you're gonna wanna clean anything that you might think might be in contact with the panel before. Now up here would be pretty easy to clean without affecting this, so I'm not too crazy worried about that right now because it's just going to be a matter of taking a wet washcloth. But a really important area might be like the wheel arches and the trim along the rocker panel and stuff like that, the trim around the doors. You're going to want to make sure that you have all the actual painted surfaces perfectly clean and have no anything that's going to contaminate this graphene coating and cause it to look terrible. So go ahead and go beforehand and clean out all the little cracks. This refresh surface preparation spray stuff works awesome for taking off polish and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that quick. All right guys, so we have everything cleaned up. I wiped all the trim off and all the different areas that are going to be directly in contact with the paint. So at this point, we are going to start the actual graphene coating process. So I just kind of wanted to just go over some things here. Extremely important that you have brand new microfibers for this. High quality, nice microfibers that aren't going to leave streaking and stuff behind. We're going to be using the Jade Ceramic Graphene coating. This is something we've been using on pretty much all of our cars, and it works phenomenal, and it is a 5-year UV protectant coating. So this is going to be something that we are going to be going and applying to every square inch of all of the painted surfaces on this car, and then going and actually obviously removing it and getting it set up. And I'm going to show you guys on the hood here how we are going to go about doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up here, and I'm going to show you guys what the steps are now. So, rule number one, absolutely rule number one, is you got to have a good set of gloves on for this. So we are going to go ahead and take our microfiber and we're going to fold it in quarters here. And we're going to start with a 3x3 area is what Jade recommends. So we are just going to lightly mist on here with some refresh, and then take our rag and we are going to clean this area, making sure we're applying adequate pressure so we are actually removing any contaminants that are on the surface. And then we're going to go ahead and flip that over and polish this off until we are 100% dry and there's no confusion about any contaminants or anything in the coating here. So it's extremely important when you're doing this that you're paying attention to the details of this stuff for sure. So that's good. These are just suede applicator pads. Nothing crazy or special here, just you know, we use one edge of it and apply the ceramic coating. Really important that before you ever use graphene coating, you shake it thoroughly. The graphene will separate from the ceramic inside of it, and it won't come out right, and then you could have a poor surface. One edge here, nice and coated, and then we'll take this edge and we will start up here, and we will just go nice and easy down. Now we will go this way. And the whole point here is you're trying for the ability to see exactly where your path is. You are trying to not lift off so that you can have a good view of that, because you want to make sure you're getting good coverage, because high spots and low spots, they definitely will show in the coating if you're not consistent about applying this stuff. So what you're looking to see here is when this stuff it'll start hazing up just slightly, and you're looking to see if you touch it with your glove, it should almost be a little bit sticky versus slippery. So that's when you know the stuff is starting to cure up. It's just a little bit tacky, and then you'll go ahead and we'll polish it off. So that's looking pretty good. So we'll go ahead and work that off. It is now a two-stage ceramic coating with the ceramic prep and then the actual graphene coating. That is a two-stage ceramic coating, and with proper maintenance washes and reapplication, ceramic detailer or whatever, with the correct application, this coating should be good for 5 whole years. Customers of mine, I usually do maintenance washes on a quarterly basis. Absolutely overkill, but that's how you get the longest life out of your coating and the best, you know, look and everything. So I'm gonna keep cranking. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing all ceramic coated, and I will show you guys the process of finishing this thing up once I'm all done coating all the panels, and we'll talk about more of what the next step is with this stuff curing and all of that. So let's point out some of the things that as a professional detailing shop you should always be doing. So big thing is always going and spot checking your cars after you're done. This is a really good time. We're in the direct lights after the graphene is cured, and this gives you a good time to physically look at each panel and find any impurities, high spots, anything that is not 100% proper on the paint or glass or anything. So, all right guys, so we got this thing wrapped up, and she's looking very good. So if you guys like this video, please comment, like, tell me what you're thinking about it. I have all these detailing cars that I do all the time. If this is content you guys like seeing, well, I'll keep doing detailing videos. So please let me know what you're thinking about it, and like and subscribe. Thanks again, guys. See you next time.